Greetings everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed and welcome back to Unforeseen with our mother and our new best friend. Breakfast had already been served by the time I reached the table Thursday morning. My mother had just finished spreading jam onto a slice of toast for Shiro and slid it onto the white dove's plate. I sat down and poured a glass of juice while she did the same for me. Good morning, Haku. My mother greeted me with a strawberry toast and a familiar kind smile. Morning, Haku. Shiro, however, greeted me with a smile mouthful of it. Morning. I was just telling Shiro if I'd like to get parental rights over her and enroll her in your school. Shiro nodded, crumbs falling down her chin into her lap. That school's high? Are you sure that's a good idea right now? Why not? I know that if the two of you are going to the same school, you'd be able to, make sure she's doing well. I'd be a year below you. Between the two of them, it sounded to me like a rehearsed pitch. Look, if you think it's a good idea, then let's do it. I just wish that my mother would have discussed things with me. Yeah, I can relate. Something already happened, and yet she discusses things with me and not telling me anything to me beforehand. Someone who would be greatly affected before offering up decisions like this. Instead, I worried that by saying something about it, I'd just make Shiro worry about her place in our home. Toast became a good distraction and an even better excuse to skip on the conversation. I wonder how you look in their uniform. You know, it looked a lot different when Aoi and I were students there. Oh, but I really like your uniform now. While my mother played mental dress-up with Shiro posing as her doll, I brought up a map on my phone and studied the time it would take to get to each destination. We need to leave soon if I'm going to make it to school after dropping you off at the station. Oh right, Shiro, do you need any money for lunch? It's all included under the tuition. I pushed an empty plate across the table knowing that it was my mother's day to get the breakfast dishes and stood up. Giving my hair one more pat down and my necktie a quick straighten, I walked to the door and looked behind for Shiro, who was rushing to finish her own breakfast. Her pacing from devouring the food putting in front of her had slowed down over the past day, but I was sure she was trying to earn back some lost pounds. Wait. Thank you for the food, Seo. It was delicious. Have a good day, you two. She stumbled out of her chair and ran up to me like a baby chick to its mother. Together we stood by the door and put on our shoes until I pushed the door open against the cool autumn air. Shiro stepped out right behind me, the sunlight catching the frosty tips of her hair once she did. Without warning, it felt as if I'd been dammed into water as cold as the morning air. There was something wrong with this scene. I don't know if it was just the fact I had never left school with another person, or if it was the overwhelming feeling of a monumental change in my life. You okay? Yeah, just feeling a little weird. Me too. She chuckled nervously and let the door shut behind her. I can't believe I'm going back today. Kind of nervous about it, so even Shiro could lose her confidence. I shoved my hand in my pockets to keep them warm. Shiro walked down the stairs beside me, swaying her arms at her side as if the cold didn't bother her. It wasn't long before she pulled the instant camera from her pocket. Again. You're not going to get into trouble by bringing back to school, are you? I'm not going to take it out in class, jeez. Even having it on you is still kind of an offence. She stopped for a second, posing herself to take a picture for some power lines running across a cloudy blue sky. The picture printed out as she walked to catch back up to me. Do you have money for the train? Still got my student pass. To prove it, she excavated a single card out of her pocket and showed it to me. There wasn't anything notable on it, but it was proof nonetheless. We need to take a left here. You'll probably recognise where we are from this point. This place again. While it would still take a bit of walking to get to the station, I wanted to verbally demonstrate the directions as well as having her follow them in order to help her in the future. Maybe I should just draw a map. I pondered it out loud, but Shiro had been focused on her own world. A cat! Really? Of all times? We need to get you to school, and the first thing you, of all people, notice to come across is a cat. Shiro excitedly points to a white cat waiting to cross the street. It's white like me. Sunlight framed her smile, drawing hems of light against the grain of her pale, glossy lips. And then it fell. I followed her gaze to find that the cat had carefully walked into the street, but just out of its sight was a truck that had been turned a corner towards it. Fate remained as cruel as it ever did, but it was too late for the driver to stop for the young kitten. Shiro screamed, reaching towards the cat but unable to grab it from its certain demise. I looked away, unable to watch. Bodies began moving towards the road, walking past my field of vision, so I figured it might have been awful or that someone was going to try and help the poor thing. I pulled my gaze back to the scene of the crime. My mouth dropped when I saw had robbed me of my voice. Haku, let's go. Shiro grabbed onto my arm as I stood motionless. She tugged it again, attempting to move me. Her voice was small and quiet. Please, Haku. Looking down to this girl, whose eyes were filling with snowflake tears, I realized she was afraid and so desperately tugging at my sleeve. Without thinking about it, my feet began to move in the direction she was tugging me in. Her steps were slow at first, leading me around like a dog on a leash. Her pace picked up again after we rounded the corner of a building and into an alleyway. Shiro. She didn't cease pulling at my sleeve. Her self-inflicted directive was to put space between us and the street corner. Shiro. Years between the last time I had shouted and now caused me to scare even myself with the volume of my voice. She finally stopped and stooped down, the hem of her dress caressing the concrete beneath her. Okay, do you believe me now? The words came between sobs and tear-soaked cheeks. You wanted something bigger. It wasn't just bigger, it was huge. And Shiro was taking claim of the event that I and many others had just witnessed. Recalling the scene, I saw everything again. I was unable to get it out of my head. A truck that had stopped in its tracks but hovering a few feet in the air, the frightened cat hastily crossing the street where it should have been hit. None of it would leave me. We have to go. There was panic in her teary voice. They're going to find us now. Your superiors? Who? Are you in trouble? We can't go back. No one was supposed to find out I have magic this way. Not in public. Haku? Eyes coloured with grey crystals pleaded my name, begging me to understand. I couldn't let the cat die. So that's the end of the demo then. If only I continued onwards, we would have... Oh well. Or maybe that's just the intro. Yeah, this is definitely going to be music because this sounds very copywritten. Yeah, this is one of those mid-game introductions. We don't know that. We barely know you. And credits. We haven't met you yet. And neither you as well. And Mum. No, don't do that. Created by Noraneko Games. These girls all hold the key to unlocking the reason for magic's sudden appearance. Befriend them in this adventure. Befriend them in Mise on Sin. And that's it, folks. That is... I wish I finished it in the first episode, because that seems a little bit of a short episode, but up until that last instant with the truck, this demo has been a really calming experience in my eyes. It's like, it's one of those adventures that you can just sort of get into without worrying about, I don't know, one of the characters suddenly becoming in danger or anything like that. But I would say that we only got a good introduction to one of the 4 possible romance characters in this game, or just routes in the game itself, because I think there are only 4 routes in the game and 2 after encore scenarios to the game itself, and those are the 2 other characters that are shown in the credits, minus the mother obviously. But I really like this adventure, and I hope the developer continues to flesh this out into a full game. The only thing I can really suggest is to add a skip function onto the interface of the game itself, rather than relying on the well, there would be a set of controls, but I don't think they're here. But hope you all enjoyed this adventure, guys. Sorry if this is a little bit of a short episode, but that is literally the last of the demo itself. I literally thought that it would go up to, let's say, Friday, and they would have another day's worth of content there, but it really doesn't matter. I really like this little adventure with these calming characters in their own little ways. Anyways, folks, thank you all so much for watching. Please check out this game for yourselves to see what other things that you can find that I may have missed in the game as well. The middle 2 characters we barely got to know at all, especially the one on the left, who is the tallest one. I find her to be a little bit of a mischievous character, while in the game as well, being sort of shy to talk to anybody of the same gender. Whereas she, we barely got to know her. The only time was when we were introduced to her for notes on the female warrior that was talking about in the class when we was talking about history and history lessons. And obviously Shiro, we've gotten a little bit of her about in the game itself, and the one on the right is still a little bit of an enigma, but we met her twice, and so it's a cute fun little adventure, and I hope this develops into a full game where we can fully explore these characters and the magic that this game holds. So in the description below, they will find a link to this game where you can download it for yourselves. And see you all in the next video. Have a lovely day and take care of yourselves.